Welcome to Arts District. I'm your host, Carrie Saldo. Regina Benson and Ray Tomasso's work is vastly different, but they share being influenced and inspired by the natural world. For Benson, there's beauty in rust decay. Using ancient mark-making techniques, she applies that rust to fabrics she then manipulates in a variety of ways. The end result, large, sinuous, and undulating pieces. Ray Tomasso also sees beauty in the process of disintegration, but for him, that means shredding old blue jeans or the canvases of fellow artists. That cotton is made into fine art paper that he then transforms into large-scale textured works. While they create their art independently, it's often shown together. Filmmaker Brian Malone brings us the story behind Benson and Tomasso's most recent show at the Ice Cube Gallery in Denver's RiNO district.
So I'm using recycled sheets of 100% cotton rag, and I'm repulping it, and I'm forming new sheets of paper with it. And then the third layer will be blue jean, which is recycled blue jean, and it'll be over pulped, so it'll pull and warp the piece a little bit, so I'll get more dimension to the piece. My process was I started out as a printmaker. So I set up my matrix like a print. So what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the negative space above the composition. Instead of looking at the composition, I'm looking at the mirror image, the negative space above the composition. So I'm perceiving it upside down and backwards. And then I cast the paper onto the matrix and get a print, mount that on a wood frame, and then I paint it. Since you're making all your raw materials, you have complete control over what the raw material does. It's like a baker with bread. So you're designing this pulp to do what you want it to do. When you're making a work of art, you want to make a work of art that's not going to have problems for the first couple of centuries. I like the landscape where the paint's peeling, you know, everything's kind of deteriorating. I don't really like it cleaned up. The cracks and the patina of time, and the patina that time puts on an object, something that's old and vulnerable, and it's been deteriorating, the paint's been cracking, the wood's been cracking, and it creates a really, really nice texture. I'm inspired by it, and I'm trying to emulate it and trying to put that patina in the piece. This is a piece dealing with landscape and basically storm fronts and wind and the prelude to a storm just before it hits, that tension in the air, the atmospheric pressure change. So it's kind of that boiling tension coming up from behind the blue sky, the landscape. It's just that change that's about to happen. You have those kind of patinas on it, the highlight of the sunlight coming through, and then trying to get this really brilliant red that just kind of glows in the dark.
These are very earthy colors, very dramatic red colors. I want the colors to be vibrant. I want the surface texture of the cloth, as well as my eventual presentation, to highlight the luster, both the beauty and sort of the fearfulness. This art is generally classified as fiber art. It includes a lot of different textiles. It can include weavings and yarns, a lot of different processes that go into not just constructing the textile, but also in coloring it. The fabric moves. The fabric is easy to change in form. It's not structured. I love that. I love the drapiness. I love the fluidity. I'm drawn to rust, or more appropriately, iron oxide. Rust, in many ways, is the remains, is what is left. Frequently, that is my subject matter, the remains of something that was there. It's no longer there, but you see the rusty outline, you see the suggestion. And I like that it's ancient, and that I can do something with this ancient grains and markings on something and make it look like something new. I want somebody to look up from their texting and look at the environment that they're whizzing through.
Regina and I both really identify with rust and its application.
I always felt that our work had a nexus.
When you're looking at a gallery show where you're doing a solo show, you want to have some sort of cooperation across the center of the gallery to the other half of the gallery.
So the sensibility, I think, is there as well.
It's a conversation I'm having with myself. It's a conversation you're having with, different aspects of life, different ways you can view different things.
I think art is a conversation. I think art exists in that space between the object that perhaps I have created and your heart and mind.
That's this week's show. I'm Carrie Saldo. Like us on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, join our newsletter, and come back here to our studio next week.
Arts District is a collaboration between Rocky Mountain PBS and public radio stations KUNC and KUVO KVJZ.